this is Am7 with Red Hook Guitar. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, slash chords. So if you've ever seen anything like this, don't be alarmed. I know it looks crazy. This is the chord we're talking about, and then this is the bass note. So we're talking about, with slash chords, we're talking about changing what would normally be the root of your chord to a different note, a different bass note. Okay, so we're talking about playing bass and guitar all in one. So some common ones with that. Here's my C chord, as I always use C as my example to start with. We have C, E, G, C, E. Alright, so I'm playing from the root, which is C. If I want to change that to a G, say there was a C slash G, well, I bring up my ring finger to that G. Remember from lesson 1, E, F, F sharp, G. And now I have a C with a G in the bass, or C slash G. C with a B in the bass. Here's my C, I move it back 1 to B. Now I have a C slash B. Sometimes people like to resolve that to A minor. Here's a G chord. A lot of times people like to put an F sharp in the bass, which is just going back 1 fret from my root G. So here's G. Here's G with an F sharp in the bass. Sometimes people like to put a B in the bass here. Alright, the G slash B. Add the 5th if you want to. Right, so these are all really common ones. And I'm going to put these in song examples because I think the best way to learn these is going to be by hearing them in songs that you're probably familiar with. So I'm going to start with Landslide by Fleetwood Mac because that has the example of a G with a B in the bass and also a D with an F sharp in the bass. Okay, so the G with the B in the bass, here's my G chord. I play it as a G5 with the added D, the added 5th here. I'm taking away this middle finger, which is my G root, and I'm playing from the A string, which is my B note here. So now I have a G slash B. Okay, so in the verses, what you're going to do, you got C chord to a G, B, to an A minor 7, to a G, B. So that's your verse. Now in the chorus, you're going to go G, D with an F sharp in the bass. So there's 2 ways you can play this one. Some people like to keep the D formation and just bring their thumb up to the 2nd fret where that F sharp is, right? E, F, F sharp. Some people just like to play it like this without the E string on the bottom. Either way is fine. So you got G, been afraid of changing. Then it goes back to C, G, B, A minor 7, G, B, G, D, F sharp, E minor 7, C, G, B, A minor. Alright, so that's a really classic example. You'll find that in a lot of kind of folkier tunes, like Dust in the Wind has a C to a G, B, to an A minor, D minor, A minor. So close my eyes, only for the moment, then the moment's gone. All my dreams. Right, so you got that. A C sharp, A slash C sharp is another one that comes up a lot. So here's my A chord. Here's a B, here's a C, here's a C sharp. So you kind of have to bar that on the 2nd fret and add your ring finger to that C sharp. So this one comes in handy. You know, I gave an example of a Kings of Leon song called Reverend that goes, has this progression in it that goes G, E minor, B minor, A, C sharp, back to D, right? So it's a really good chord to go, if you're going from A to D and you want to connect that chord, A, right? Or if I go D, right? So it's a good connecting chord from D to A. A, you put the C sharp in the bass and it really leads nicely to the D. All I Wanted by Paramore was another example that I gave. And the whole song is really just D, F sharp minor, B minor, A, C sharp. So D, sharp minor, B minor, A/C sharp. Okay. A-Team by Ed Sheeran, that has a D with an F sharp in it. Right? So it's white lips, pale face, breathing in the snowflakes, white thumbs, sour taste. Lights gone, days end, struggling to pay rent, long nights, strange men. So it's just like this little passing chord from G, D, F sharp, E minor. I mean, you could go G, D, E minor, but you notice when you put that bass note, it really leads to that next chord really nicely. Another example of the same progression, Wonderful Tonight, Eric Clapton. So I'm going G, D, F sharp, C, D for the verses. It's late in the evening, she's wondering what clothes to wear. So again, you know, you could just play G, D, C, but it's much cooler to have that bass note in there. The chorus. And then she asks me, G, D, F sharp, E minor. So all that leads really nicely. We're just talking about bass motion, connecting these chords, right? So put the capo on the 4. We got Howie Day, Collide. That's a G to a G with an F sharp, to an E minor 7, to a C add 9. Even the best fall down sometimes. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme. Right? So bass motion, bass motion. Crash by Dave Matthews. This one's a tricky one because it kind of gets away from a lot of those open chords. C sharp minor 7 to a B5. It has an E with a G sharp in the bass. So notice I'm not using this formation. I'm using another formation over here. I have G sharp on the 4th fret, E on the 2nd fret of the D string, and a B here on the G. So I'm sure there's tutorials on this one. This one's a little bit more challenging. But again, you got this really nice bass motion. Kind of drones over similar chords. You've got your bow, you've got your chain tied to me, tied up again. So then this other one, Perfect Day by Lou Reed. Has a D with a C sharp in it, which lends itself really nicely to B minor. Right? So in this song, it's in 6/8. You have A, 3, 4, 5, 6, D, C sharp minor, D, C sharp, D, C sharp. It's like a really hard thing to say. D, C sharp, B, A, to E. That's a really good bass motion there. Last example I'll give in terms of songs, Ho Hey by the Lumineers. So the whole beginning is C with an F with a C in the bass. I've been trying to do it right. I've been living the lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. So I'm taking this F shape, which would normally be a bar chord, right? And I'm just not playing from the top F, I'm playing from the C here, F/C. So you can look up all of these chords, you can find them online, you can find diagrams for them, you can look up these charts and listen to these songs and learn these songs as good examples of bass motion. Really, again, these videos are more just for explanatory purposes, just of an overall summary and kind of a concept, like learn about the concept and understand the theory and the concept of what I'm talking about, and then apply it in your own time or by taking lessons with me. But anyway, I'm really just kind of doing overviews here, so don't don't feel overwhelmed if I'm moving really quickly. I'm just trying to share a concept with you, which is, you know, hey, you got these chords, you can change the bass note around, and you can kind of come up with these really cool bass motions with your chords. You know, you can connect them in a way and kind of be a bass player and a guitar player all in one. A good thing too is learning a lot of Johnny Cash songs, because they do a lot of alternating bass, like that old style country music. There's a lot of alternating bass, particularly root to fifth, root to fifth. So really anything by Johnny Cash, you'll hear that guitar player. You know, so anyway, I hope that's helpful, and stay tuned for next one.